Hello flight simmers, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Denver International Airport. We are sitting here in the United 787-9, the Horizon Sim Dreamliner to be specific. And yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Denver, and we are heading over to London Heathrow, so we are going cross Atlantic, and today's video will be slightly different in a way that actually my audio did not record during the flight, so I am now doing this as a voiceover, which you will notice in a few bits and pieces that it will be slightly different. But let's see how it works. A little bit of an experiment in order to salvage the video. And yeah, so the Horizon Dreamliner is getting better and better. A recent update was all about adding the CPDLC functionality, which we will even be using a little bit at the end of the flight. So here out of Denver we are departing offline with AI traffic around, and then into London we were actually lucky enough to have some nice VETSIM ATC. So over in London, unfortunately, of course, you're only going to hear the controller sort of inputs and not my own inputs, but I think it's still going to be cool to watch. And yeah, I think that's sort of covering the introduction. As you can see, the weather is looking absolutely beautiful. It's an early evening departure out of Denver, and then we will have a very, very short night, and then have a daytime arrival into London Heathrow later on. So, pulling up Navigraph to have a look at today's flight. So as you can expect, we're heading over the Atlantic, of course, just touching Greenland up there. And in fact, it's going to be a very short flight today, just some 7 hours and 45 minutes, I think, is the calculated time, and that's due to some pretty nice tailwinds we can expect. So looking at the jet streams for flight level 380 here, and you can see that we are capturing some nice tailwinds there over the northern Atlantic, which is going to accelerate our flight. And recording this one beginning of June, so indeed, the nights up there are very short, and I do expect only to get a little bit of nighttime up there. Maybe we will even have a little bit of a daylight throughout the entirety of the flight. And we will be departing Denver on runway 17 right, so towards the south, but then of course we need to head north. So what we do, we will be departing on a heading, select departure, and then after the initial climb to a left-hand swing, and then eventually be dialed direct to Yokes, where we need to pass above 17,000 feet, which should be very easy. We'll be way higher at this point. And yeah, so that's the plan for today's departure. Right, so here we are on the flight deck, and yeah, we will start by setting the weights, which we can do through the FMC. And so what we are going to do, we just use the weights from the OFP, which is coming directly from SimBrief. The only thing I'm noticing right now is that apparently we only get it in kilograms here in the aircraft, while I plan SimBrief in pounds, of course, flying United. I didn't really find a way to change that in the FMC, although I'm quite sure there should be a selection somewhere to switch between kilograms and pounds, but never mind. It will work. It just needs to be considered when loading the aircraft. Right, moving over to the EFB to do the takeoff performance calculations, and this one's going to be quite interesting because we now have the Navigraph performance calculations available. Very cool feature released by Navigraph there a couple of days ago. And so what we will do, we will compare these two figures. So we will run the EFB calculations, and then we will run the Navigraph calculations and see how different the results are. So now we're gonna pull up the Navigraph calculation, and as you can see, it is fairly close in many regards. So we have takeoff selected. On the EFB we get a selected temperature of 19 degrees, while Navigraph is giving us 22 degrees, and both of them actually close to toga power for this takeoff, and I think that's due to the altitude of the airport. But quite interesting that we are almost using full thrust on this takeoff, and that's basically confirmed by both calculators. Right, so now putting the data into the FMC, and I've decided to go with the Navigraph calculations, just for the fun of it really, just to test how it works. So select temperature 22. And flap 5 departure, of course. And this should get us off the ground quite safely. Continuing with the flight setup, so I'm making sure that the APU is providing electrical power to us, which it is. So making sure the external power is disconnected. And then we will continue on the overhead by switching on the primary window heats. And then we do the hydraulics and the fuel pumps, of course. Beacons will come on in just a second, and then we can actually request pushback from GSX. So we are rolling, and now it is time to power up or fire up the GE engines. We will start with the left-hand engine today, so engine number 1, switch the starter to start, kick in the fuel control switch, and that's all we need to do here in the flight deck. And then we can actually look outside and watch the engine firing up. And seems like our marshaller is really having a risky job here today, running just behind the engine there. And not really ideal from GSX, but luckily it's only a sim environment. Right, so after a short while we have 2 good running engines, so we kill the APU. Auto brake comes to RTO for rejected takeoff. Flaps go position 5 as we have calculated for. We will run a quick flight control check, so full left, full right, elevator full up and full down, and the rudder full left and full right, and that's checked. Before we taxi out, we will run the before taxi checklist. So anti-ice not required, recall is checked, flight controls are checked, ground equipment is clear, and APU is being shut down. Turn off and taxi lights coming on. We are making sure that the ground crew is out of the way, and then off we go, just straight ahead really to runway 17 right. It's a very short taxi. So we are quickly approaching runway 17 right. Of course, we're going full length here today. And let's assume we are cleared for takeoff. So strobes and landing lights are coming on. Making sure all the lights are set. We have traffic set to TARA, so traffic advisory and resolution advisory as required for flight. And then we need to make a big right-hand swing. And yeah, then we are ready to head into the Denver evening sky. So here we go, just finishing that line up. So we are nicely aligned with the runway heading. And then let's put in some power and off we go. So engines are being stabilized at around 40%. And then we will set takeoff thrust. There we go, auto thrust on, takeoff thrust is set by the auto thrust system now. Beautiful engine sound as always in the Dreamliner. Airspeed is alive. I really love these runway textures with all the tire marks on them. hitting 80 knots already. So releasing the forward pressure on the yoke. And now accelerating, but you can see that V1 and RER is quite a way to go. So we do indeed need a fair bit of runway here today. And that's almost at full power. So that's V1. Rotate. Let's go flying. The Streamliner always a little bit quirky on the rotation. But eventually we've made it into the air safely. Positive rate gears coming up. Making sure to follow that flight director. And we are on our way to London Heathrow. Nice, so there we go. Beautiful departure. Streamliner looking absolutely spectacular here in the sunlight. And now after our initial climb we will do the first left-hand turn. About a 90-degree turn at first, and then after that we will eventually go direct the first waypoint, which we will dial as a direct 2. And you can see there's a checklist incomplete, but we can disregard that. I definitely completed the checklist, and I actually had this bug before, that the before takeoff checklist is not recognized as completed when it actually is. Right, and that completes the first initial turn, and now we're already passing 10,000 feet, but of course coming from around 5,000 at airfield elevation. That needs to be considered. Now we will go down to the FMC, go to the legs page, select Yokes, which is the first waypoint where we will be direct to execute LNAV. And now you can see the flight director moving off to the left hand side. We are still on manual flight, enjoying this this departure a little bit with some hand flying action. And yeah, so now we are on our way to Denver, and sorry, not to Denver of course, over to London. And now on the left hand side we will soon have a very nice view on the Denver airfield.
Level 200, easy, 3 Golf Golf, 3 5 Golf Romeo.
Other station calling, say again.
Osprey 400, Alpha, request clearance to Alpha Grove, please.
So we are back in the flight deck, and as you can hear, ATC is online, and we are chatting with Metzen.
Good evening, check 45 Golf,
but yeah, so that's why you're only going to hear
300.
the stuff he's saying to me and not the other way around today, unfortunately. But never mind. So we are flying the Nukra 1 hotel arrival. We are already descending through flight level 226 at the moment, and yeah, just quickly want to show you the CPDLC functionality, which we actually have been using here on the London control sector. Was only for the last bit of the flight, but still very cool to see this kind of functionality in a freeware aircraft, which is very cool, and especially for long haul flying or even events like cross the continent, that kind of stuff. It's super convenient and highly appreciated. Alright, now already below flight level 990, descending down to 8,000, and you can see we are turning towards the right to heading 170. And in fact we have been giving some delay vectors here because of other traffic around us, which is kind of cool for us because we are now heading straight towards the airport and we'll actually get quite close to Heathrow, which we can already see there in the background. And yeah, so some good vectoring as expected from the ATC controller today. And now let's see if we can enjoy a bit of this approach, which has been quite okay. Unfortunately, I've been having a lot of performance issues once again, especially after long flights, Microsoft flights, and VRAM tends to run full, and so it's always difficult to have good performance on arrival. But never mind, we will still try to enjoy it as much as we can.
Canada 505.
So now the controller reminded us that we need to do 220 knots, which I've been actually I needed to do that before already, but I cheated a little bit because I didn't want to go flap 1, but now I actually set flap 1 so we can nicely slow down to 220 knots.
Speed 220 knots. United 27 to left heading 050 degrees, descend for level 70.
So now we are descending further and also making a big left-hand turn, heading 050, so actually all the way back to our initial flight plan basically, and that's because on the radar also we will soon see that there's been another traffic in front of us, and this has been in order to give proper delay vectors. So we are flying basically straight over London City, which would be a very nice view if I were able to dial up my settings a little bit here. So right now it looks a little bit rough. And also we are being told to slow down to 180 knots. And as you can see, we're still struggling with performance, but of course we need to comply with the ATC instructions.
Heading 250 degrees, United 27 turn right heading 240 degrees, when established localizer runway 27 right, descend on the glide.
So you can hear we are cleared for the approach into runway 27 right, and also in order to handle the performance issue I've now actually changed resolution to 2K instead of 4K. Reason is flying online, there's just no room for massive stutters or lags. It just makes the experience so unpleasant. So I'd rather sacrifice in terms of visual clarity here and optimize a little bit for performance. So also you can see some around 7 miles ahead there's other traffic on 27 right, but that's no issue for us. That's sufficiently spaced by ATC, and very soon now we are going to capture the localizer and then descend on the flight slope down to runway 27 right. Alright, so we are on the final approach, deployed the head-up display. Now we are throwing down the gear and also set a bit more flaps in order to slow down. We have a speed constraint of 160 knots until 4 miles. And also at some point we are being told that we need to expedite vacating the runway after touchdown because there's some traffic rather close behind us. But this will work out fine eventually. Okay, so now on a flap 20 setting we will kick on the taxi internal flights. Then we will run the landing checklist, which will only turn green once we have set full flaps, of course, which we will do very soon, but still, since we still need to keep up the speed for a bit, I'm waiting a bit longer to deploy the flaps. And yeah, now we're just heading in for the landing. I'm going to let you enjoy the landing for now. I think it was okay. It was a bit hard given the bad performance of the sim. But overall, I think the touchdown itself has been rather okay. But I'm gonna let you be the judges of that, and then we will take a look at the replay together in just a second.
Ready to taxi, Air Canada 505.
Air Canada 505, taxi straight and hold at Lima 1.
Taxi straight and hold at Lima 1, Air Canada 505.
So 671, you can reduce to final approach speed now.
Final approach with the 671.
Speedbird 385 Mike, ready for taxi.
Speedbird 385 Mike, taxi via Alpha, hold at Lowman.
Taxi via Alpha, hold at Lowman, Speedbird 385 Mike.
Speedbird 95, Lima, descent to altitude 3000 feet.
Descent 3000 feet, Speedbird 953 Lima.
It's Director. Good evening, KLM 395, flight level 80.
KLM 395, Ifra, hello, leave Ockham heading 075 degrees.
075, KLM 395.
Speedbird 95, Lima, turn right heading 240 degrees and when established 27 right, descend ILS.
Right heading 240 and when established, could you repeat please again?
Cleared ILS.
Cleared ILS, Speedbird 953 Lima.
KLM 395, descent, flight level 7, sorry.
Descent to flight level 70, KLM 395.
Center 06, welcome to Heathrow, second left onto Bravo. Do you have any particular gate?
Negative, sir. I can take anyone.
Roger.
And second left on Bravo. Confirm, Genesis 6.
ASAM for now. Speed 95, Freedom at left heading 300 to establish.
Left heading, right heading 300 until established, Speedbird 953 Lima.
United 27, clear to land runway 27 right, surface wind 340 degrees 7 knots and expedite locating. Air Canada 505, taxi first left, hold at November Bravo 1.
Can you repeat the first?
Yeah, just make a first left and hold short of the runway.
First left and hold short of November. The runway.
Center 06. Taxi stand 211 via Bravo and Kilo.
Via Bravo and Kilo, taxi stand 211 Genesis 6.
Speed 953 Lima, speed 160 knots or less.
Speed 160 knots or less, Speedbird 953 Lima.
Approach Canada 85, ready to taxi.
Canada 865, taxi left Bravo, hold at Lockheed.
Bravo.
Alright, so we made it down. As I said, not the smoothest approach, but landing turned out to be okay-ish. Right, so we are decelerating, although I need to vacate quickly. I decided that this one is not really doable for us. We are still a bit fast for that one. So now I'm trying to keep speed up a little bit, and then we will take the next high-speed exit to the left. And yeah, then it actually worked out. So the traffic behind us had sufficient space to do a nice landing.
160, descending 150 on the Hull 1 Hotel at approach.
Alright, so let's check out the replay together. We can see the windsock there confirming the crosswind from the right hand side. You can see performance still a bit bad, but there's the flare, which has actually been quite nice, so I'm happy with the touchdown. Solid and quick touchdown. Now I actually need to correct a little bit with the rudder to stay on the center line, which has not been ideal, but kind of necessary. And that's it. That was the landing into Heathrow.
Speedbird 385 Mike.
Approach Canada 865, horizon number 267 left.
260, descent to altitude.
So now we've made it to stand 248 on the international terminal, of course, and yeah, now we proceed with the shutdown, so making sure parking brake is set. Then we'll kill the engines 1 and 2, or 2 and 1 rather, in that order. And APU is running, so we have electrical power. We switch off the taxi lights, the fuel pumps, the hydraulic pumps, and passenger signs, of course, and last but not least, the beacon lights are being turned off, and primary window lit, of course, as well. Okay, so here we are. We have completed our Dreamliner flight from Denver to Heathrow in the United 787-9. I am happy with the aircraft. I still like the Dreamliner, and it's still one of the best planes for long hauls in Microsoft Flight Sim, and it's of course only until we finally get the PMBG 777, hopefully coming up within just a few weeks now. And yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this flight, and since this has been unplanned, but it has been kind of a valuable experience now, doing a voiceover for a video. So let me know what you think about it. Maybe this could be a concept going forward as well, but feel free to tell me which one you prefer, the good old sort of live commentary or this one doing the voiceover. I'm actually happy to do both going forward. Alright guys, so thanks again for tuning in, and take care everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.